Hello aspirants, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to the session on Current Affairs for Beginners. In this session, I am going to tell you about the terms, concepts, schemes and institutions that appeared in today's newspaper, that is 31st May 2018. Let us see yesterday's questions. The first question is, consider the following statements. The first statement is, Port Dakum is in Oman, and the second statement is, Port Sabang is in Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Both the statements are correct, so the answer is C, both 1 and 2. The second question is, consider the following statements. Chow dance form is a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage, and the second option is, Chow mask is given GI indication status. Both the statements are correct, so the answer is C, both 1 and 2. The first article is India-Indonesia Elevate Ties. In this article, we have to see what is this India's Act East policy, and the second one is the vision of Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. India's Act East policy. This policy mainly focuses on the extended neighborhood in the Asia-Pacific region. This was originally started as an economic initiative, but later it gained political, strategic and cultural dimensions. And India has upgraded its relations to strategic relationship with countries like Indonesia, Vietnam, Malaysia, Japan and Republic of Korea, Australia, Singapore and some of the groupings like ASEAN. Through this policy, India actively engaged in the regional fora such as BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, Asia Cooperation Dialogue, Mekong-Ganga Cooperation, Indian Ocean Rim Association, in the groupings like ASEAN. What is the objective of Act East policy? It is to promote economic cooperation, cultural ties and strategic relationship with the countries in Asia-Pacific region through continuous engagement at bilateral level, that is with countries to countries, and through regional groupings and through multilateral level, and thereby providing enhanced connectivity to the states of Northeast region in the India with other countries in our neighborhood. This policy also has various plans at bilateral and regional levels, including steady efforts to develop and strengthen this connectivity with this northeastern region with the Asian region through trade, culture, people-in-people contacts and physical infrastructure like road, airport, telecommunications, power and etc. Some of the major projects include Kaladan Multimodal Transit Transport Project, India-Myanmar-Thailand Trilateral Highway Project and Re-Tidim Road Project and the Border Hearts. And the second word is Sagar, security and growth for all in the region. Today, India's geostrategic significance as a stabilizing power in the Indian Ocean region is globally accepted when, and there is a distinct realization that India is destined to play a larger global role in the coming years. And there is also need for proper cooperation, climate of trust and transparency for peaceful resolution of maritime issues, and also we have to realize full potential of blue revolution, and this is the vision of Sagar. What are the objectives or main features of this Sagar? It is to enhance capacities to safeguard land and maritime territories and to deepen economic and security cooperation in the region, that is in the Indian Ocean, and to promote collective action to deal with natural disasters and maritime threats like piracy, terrorism, and emergent non-state actors. And it works towards sustainable regional development through enhanced collaboration through sustainable harnessing of wealth of seas like food in the seas, medicines, or the clean energy through the seas. And it also engages with the countries beyond our shores with the aim of building greater trust and promote respect for maritime rules, norms, and peaceful resolution of the disputes. The next article is Reassessing Dev Gowda. In this article, we have to see what is this ceasefire, Panchayat's extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996, and then Mahakali Treaty with Nepal. Ceasefire. Here we should know what is a ceasefire, armistice line, and a peace treaty. Ceasefire and armistice line are a temporary stoppage of war. Ceasefire may be informal or formal stoppage, that is temporary stoppage of war, in which each side agrees with the other to suspend aggressive actions. An armistice is a formal agreement of warring parties to stop fighting, and it is not necessarily the end of war, but it constitutes a cessation of hostilities, and it is an attempt to negotiate a lasting peace. And a peace treaty is an agreement between two or more hostile parties, usually between countries or governments, which formally ends a state of war between the parties. That is, it is different from the armistice and ceasefire in this respective. That is, it formally ends a state of war. And the next one is Panchayat Extension to Scheduled Areas Act 1996. Through this act, panchayats were extended to scheduled areas that is mentioned in the 5th schedule of our constitution, that is Constitution of India. Why this extension? Because of the loss of access to forest, land and other community resources to the people of this area made them vulnerable, and the rampant land acquisition and displacement due to development projects in this area has led to large scale distress in the tribal communities living in these scheduled areas. So, this act was passed, and now through this act, they can decide by themselves the pace and priorities of their development. Before, the scheduled areas were not covered by the 73rd Constitutional Amendment or the Panchayat Raj Act of the Indian Constitution as provided in the Part 9th of Constitution. So now PISA was enacted on 24th December 1996 to extend the provisions of Part 9 of the Constitution, that is Panchayatis, to scheduled areas with certain exceptions and modifications. This act was enacted by Government of India for ensuring self-governance through traditional Gram Sabhas for people living in the scheduled areas of the country. This act sought to enable the panchayats at appropriate levels and Gram Sabhas to implement a system of self-governance with respect to a number of issues such as customary resources, minor forest produce, minor minerals, minor water bodies, selection of beneficiaries, sanction of projects, and control over local institutions. This act also viewed as a positive development for tribal communities in the scheduled areas who had earlier suffered tremendously from the engagement with the modern development process and from the operation of both colonial laws and the statutes made in the independent India. And the next one is Mahakali Treaty with Nepal. This treaty was signed in February 1996 between India and Nepal for the river water sharing of river Kali. And this river Kali is important for two reasons. And the first reason is India is providing fund of rupees 1500 crore to Nepal's Pancheswar multi-purpose project on this river. India is providing fund to this. Why? Because it is countering the Keri floods in UP. And the second reason is Kali River is a disputed tri-junction between India, China and Nepal, and Lipu Lake is a pass nearby, and Doklam Plateau, a tri-junction between India, China and Bhutan, is in news. So we have to see all the tri-junctions where India is a part of it. And the next article is charting its own path. In this article, we have to see what is this NPT, NSG, MTCR, Missile Technology and Control Regime, Wassenaar Arrangement and Australia Group. What is this and what are the difference between these and whether India is a member of these groupings or not. And the first one is NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. And the objective of this treaty is to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons and weapons technology and to promote cooperation in the peaceful uses of this nuclear energy and to further the goal of achieving the nuclear disarmament and general and complete disarmament. And India is not part of this treaty. And the next one are NSG, MTCR, Wassenaar and the Australian Group. All these are multilateral export control regimes, and all these seek to prevent nuclear proliferation, means the spread of nuclear weapons and nuclear weapon technology. All these are to prevent these two, nuclear weapons and nuclear weapon technology, but through different ways. NSG is through the control of export of nuclear materials, equipment and technology. And MTCR is to prevent the proliferation of missile and unmanned aerial vehicles which are capable of carrying above 500 kg of payload for more than 300 kilometers. And the Wassenaar Agreement, this is for preventing the transfers of conventional arms and dual-use goods and technologies. What is this dual use? That is both for civilian use and for this wartime use. And this Australian group is to prevent the contribution of spread of chemical and biological weapons. We should note these differences, and India is not a part of this NPT and NSG, but it is a part of MTCR, Wassenaar and Australian Group. And the next one is paper chase. In this article, we should concentrate on what is this Election Commission. It is a permanent and independent body established by the Constitution of India directly to ensure free and fair elections in the country. Article 324 of Indian Constitution provides Election Commission the power of superintendence, direction and control of elections to the Parliament, state legislatures and to the office of President of India and to the Vice President of India. And we should note that Election Commission is not concerned with the elections to panchayats and municipalities. Election Commission is not concerned to the elections to these two. State Election Commission is concerned with this, and we should know what are the powers and functions of this Election Commission. It has administrative powers, advisory powers and quasi-judicial powers. It is to determine the territorial areas of the electoral constituencies throughout the country on the basis of Delimitation Commission Act of the Parliament, and it is to prepare and periodically revise the electoral rolls and to register all the eligible voters, that is, all the Indian citizens who are above the age of 18. And this election commission will notify the dates and schedules of elections and to scrutinize these nomination papers. And it is to grant the recognition to political parties, and this will allot the election symbols to these people, that is to the political parties, and it sometimes acts as a court for settling disputes relating to the grant of recognition of political parties and allotment of election symbols to them, that is to which party this symbol has to go. And this election commission will appoint the officers for inquiring into disputes related to electoral arrangements, and this commission will determine the code of conduct that is to be observed by the parties and the candidates at the time of elections. And this is to prepare a roster for publicity of the policies of the political party on the radio and TV in the time of elections. And this acts as an advisory body to advise the president or the governor on the matters relating to the disqualification of members of parliament or the state legislature. And this will cancel the polls in the event of any booth capturing or any violence near the booths. And this will request the president or the governor for requisitioning the staff necessary for conducting elections. And this supervises the machinery of elections throughout the country to ensure free and fair elections. And this commission will act as an advisory body to the president whether elections can be held in a state under president's rule or not. And this commission will register the political parties for the purpose of elections and grant them the status of either national parties or state parties on the basis of their poll performance. Try to answer these questions. The first question is, consider the following statements regarding Election Commission of India. The first option is, Election Commission of India is a permanent and independent body. The second option is, Election Commission of India grants recognition to political parties. The second question is, consider the following statements. The first option is, India is a member of MTCO. The second option is, India is a member of Australia Group. Thank you.